Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now, here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Joe Polish, Roland Frazier, and Mitch Russo. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 28 years. So if you're a company that has software or product or a design you want protected, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You can also check out the book I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have with me here today Brian Johnson. Brian is co-founder of Canopy Management. And Brian has helped over 25,000 brands increase sales by over $2 billion on Amazon using advertising strategy, conversion rate optimization, and differentiation. And it's really my pleasure to welcome here today, Brian Johnson. Welcome, Brian.
Rich, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So how did you get involved in products or product entrepreneurship? Like, tell me how we got here.
I mean, I was always the weekender entrepreneur, always moonlighting, always trying to hustle on the side. I was never that idealistic where it's like, yeah, I was selling candy to my classmates when I was 7 years old kind of thing. I wish that was me, right? Because I probably would have avoided about 10 to 15 years of pain working for other companies. But I could have created my own pain, right, as an entrepreneur. Right. But it's been 15 years now that I've been in the e-commerce space. I started out in the the eBay space. I came out of Fortune 500 companies, and I was always solid there, mid-management, mid-technical management, boring as all get out. But I shifted over to buying and selling, reselling, typically businesses that were liquidated from like local business auctions. I did that back when I lived in Arizona. And that was about 15 years ago. I did that for about 7 years, where I shifted from flipping, you call it some kind of an arbitrage, right, to actually sourcing and selling money counting machines like coin sorters and bill counters and fraud detectors and that kind of stuff. And I started just drop shipping for a number of different brands through eBay. And I do have a couple of interesting stories about that, but that's probably for another time. When I shifted over to Amazon, it was actually because a friend of mine had quite a bit of success on Amazon in the first couple of years of the heyday. This is back in, for those that remember, this is back in 2014, I guess it was. It's like 7 years ago, I guess now. Actually, no, 8 years now. Time is flying by way too fast. 8 years now. This is back when like Amazing Selling Machine had just came out with their second Amazing Selling Machine 2, and they had one of the big first conferences in Austin, Texas, where I lived. And I went out there. I jumped in and I started selling my own product. And I've been selling ever since, but it hasn't been the forefront. It hasn't been the priority. It's always been like I've either had partnerships or have had my own products in various brands. But I don't beat my chest about it. I just do it. I apply what I learn first and foremost. Any theories that I've ever had, I always apply to my own stuff first. So I always try to break my stuff first before I say, hey, go out and do this. But back in, I guess probably in the early years of Amazon, I had a buddy of mine. This is kind of where it really kind of changed from me going from just selling products. My first product was great the first couple of months until I went to the Amazing Selling Machine show or basically event, the conference in Austin, Texas. And Jason Flalian gets up there on stage and he's out there and goes, yeah, it's the Wild West. And anything, you can pretty much go into every single product niche. You can just take over because nobody's doing it correctly. And let me show you some examples. Crowd of like, I don't know, 1,000 people, right? And as I quickly found out, there's not a whole lot of creativity in a crowd because he showed one of the products he showed was my direct competitor. And within probably 2 months, I had, I don't know, 30, 40 new competitors selling the exact same thing.
Oh,
and so, and I'm pretty sure they all came out of that stage presentation. So, that's when I figured out it's like, I can't actually innovate. I can't actually just follow the rules. I can break out from what everybody else is doing and try to innovate. But at the same time, I had a buddy of mine who's his girlfriend at the time, now married, quite successful on Amazon. She had a beauty brand on Amazon, had 800 SKUs, and she needed some help managing that on Amazon. So like, yeah, that's a private label, 800 SKUs on Amazon. It was a massive thing. So what really shifted my career is finding the needs. Like, I need some way of driving more visibility. I need to like advertise these products on Amazon. Let me figure out how to advertise on Amazon. And of course, back then, there wasn't anything. It was crickets. Nobody could tell me. Nobody had any training. There wasn't any training videos. Amazon didn't even have any training. There was no software available. There's nobody you could even talk to about it. So I made the decision. It's like, okay, I got to figure out the answer. I had my own need. So I went out there and I created just a group on Facebook. It's still out there now. And thought originally I'm going to start out, maybe there's 20, 30 people will get together and we'll just mastermind, we'll talk shop. Well, that has since grown into, I think there's like 22,000 sellers in that group now. The problem that I ran into, I'm sure you run into this also, is once you start coming in with some good ideas, all of a sudden you get pushed against the wall and everybody expects you to always have the good ideas. And you can either say, hey, I don't have all the ideas. I don't have all the strategies that are working, or you go out and you test everything and you try to figure out the answer so that you can give the answer back. And so that just kind of perpetuated it. So I had this community that was growing and constantly making sure that they had kind of put me at a high standard. And so I had to perform or I had to exit. I had to get out. So as it turns out, I had a need to, help everybody. And so I went out there and found all the answers every time that I could. And of course, if I didn't know, I would state I didn't know. But long story kind of wrapping up here is what that led me to do is I saw a need for PPC software, for PPC training. Eventually, now our flagship is an agency, as far as Amazon and advertising and marketing agency that I do have, great business partners on. But I had to create all this stuff that I needed for myself, with the software and the training and then now the agency. So it's kind of fast forward me to today. I've had a great run, helped a lot of brands grow some big numbers on Amazon. It's kind of cool when you look back on it. You don't really see it, I guess, while you're doing it. You're just doing it, right? You're just like, somebody says they want help. You're like, sure, what can I help you with? But then you look back, it's like, well, that's kind of cool. It's like, pat myself on the back. Yeah.
Helped a lot of people. And it's interesting that you describe it as like, well, I needed to create all these tools for myself, for my, for your own brands. But I don't buy it. It feels like everything that you do is the laboratory for helping other people. Like you do,
that may be true also. Yes.
Yeah. Like it's like the way you describe it. It's like you you work on your stuff, but it seems like the focus is always on helping other people, whether it's through like just organically helping them through community to like your agency. Like that's it seems like that's what you do. Like, Yeah.
I mean, selfishly, I mean, I suppose there's a certain amount of like public recognition and that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
speaking on stage and doing webinars and that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, it's kind of fun, it's cool, right? And yeah, it was very rough the first couple of years, and through a lot of pressure from other people, including business partners. I got a lot better over the years, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool to be. I don't ever want to consider myself the smartest person in the room. I'd be a fool. But at the same time, is I have fun engaging in problem solving and try to figure it out. Like, this can be out engineered, and I'm very much the engineer mindset. My one of my business partners said, he goes, you ask Brian to pass the salt and pepper shaker at a dinner, and he'll pause because he's thinking about how to build like design a crane that will lift it over instead of just passing you the salt and pepper shaker. So it's I'm always trying to overthink a lot of the solutions, probably more than necessary. And I can assure you, I've had friends who have done quite well in various businesses say, you know all this stuff. How come you're not just doing it for yourself and not for everybody else all the time? And I do hear them, but it is kind of it's tough to kind of pull away once you kind of get in that rhythm for years.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so, like, what do you think is like the biggest change that's happening right now in the Amazon world, that sellers should be aware of when they're launching new products?
Well, if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have come up with a different answer.
That means it truly is the biggest change.
Yeah.
Changing about the change.
Answering that question right now, I used to, I used to be very much of the mindset that, there's a lot of tools that are out there in the Amazon space that claim to use artificial intelligence. And it's a marketing ploy in most cases. They're just using it to run an algorithm. They might be doing some data trending and that kind of stuff, but they're not really, having the AI, the machine learning solve the broader problem. But I would say beyond changes in economics and rise of competitors to Amazon, and changes in logistics and these kinds of things. Honestly, I think that there's going to be some huge opportunities that are coming as a result of some of the new AI technology releases that are coming out, that are becoming more accessible to the general public. For those who have been using, like, as of this writing, or as of this show, just recently it was the Chat GPT interface that came out, which is still a fraction of what the AI technology that Google has, or OpenAI has, that's out there. But I fully addicted to that thing, where I'm just trying to break it, and I can't so far. And so, so I'm trying to get more and more extensive in some of the questions I'm asking. And here's where that's going to change the most is it's going to be way too easy. You can apply it to Amazon, but honestly, I mean, I think initially what you're going to get is a high rate of service offerings and people being able to just write content about everything. In other words, the amount of content about selling on Amazon is going to 100-fold in the next year, because it's too easy just to go in and say, hey, computer, write me an article, write me something that's unique, but have this spin and put it in the voice of, Morgan Freeman, whatever. Right. And it can do it, which I didn't think it would come that soon. And so that kind of surprised me. How does it apply? It does not yet affect buyer psychology. In other words, the AI hasn't been put to the test to really analyze as far as things like relevance of a product. Most of the AI and most of the software that's out there now, mostly they're primarily looking at just the key metrics, and they're making changes based off of rules and algorithms and predictions as far as what the numbers are going to be. But they're not looking at the audience. They're not looking at the product niche. They're not looking at differentiators between products. They're not looking at the opportunities and the gaps and between competitors. There's a huge opportunity of the technology being able to help build that. It's going to require a huge effort, but I would say in the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to start seeing where you can go in and you can say, okay, you're going to be some piece of software that's going to come on the market, and it's just going to tell you, here's exactly where your little tiny narrow gap of opportunity is within this product niche. Go exploit it.
Right.
And so it's going to be a lot easier to enter into a product niche. Now, the trick on that is it'll be easy to identify that differentiator, that sub niche where there's an opportunity, where there's money left on the table. But the failure of most sellers that I see is they fail to innovate their products in order to bring to market something that actually stands out, stands apart. And so
differentiated.
Yeah, they're not differentiated, which is a topic that I'm quite passionate about, is differentiation. And so that it goes back to what the AI can't currently do. And that is really understand the buyer psychology. What's their pain that you're solving for? What's in it for them? It's surprising how many brands take the shortcut. They just don't do it. They just like, oh, I'm just going to put a product out, and just let the numbers tell me. And then they wonder why it's getting so expensive and why it's getting so competitive and it's hard to compete. Because frankly, they're not taking the time to really understand who they're offering the product to.
Right.
So I think it'll be a separation of classes, if you will, in the product space of sellers in the next 1 to 2 years. Those who take the time to really interact and to really understand their target audience, and those who just live by the numbers and run their business off of software alone.
Right. It's just let the AI do it and like kind of pass off their responsibility to the AI. Well, I guess.
Well, they're relying too much on.
Right. I let the AI figure out what my product was going to be and launch my product. And like, I don't know, like, I guess it just wasn't possible to make it work.
Right. Amazon doesn't work anymore.
Right. Exactly. If the AI can't figure it out, then how can I?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The technology. Now, do I want to go out and build that technology? Absolutely. But I'm just saying is you're gonna get some sellers who just, you can call it lazy, or you can call it just not having a clear understanding, not having the experience to know how to stand apart, how to go live outside of the Amazon ecosphere as far as where your customer base is.
Right.
It requires more work. It's not like, hey, I can just, it's a get rich quick thing where I can just do it on the weekends and that's enough.
Yeah.
You're going to just be crushed by that.
I think you nailed it when you said it. It's about having the experience. And I think that's like the thing, like, that will always be indispensable is experience. So it's like, someone was talking the other day to me about that there are these systems for writing contracts using AI, so the AI would write contracts. I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea. Usually, like when you're looking at contracts, what you're really you're not looking at what's said, you're looking at what's not said. You're reading between the lines for like, well, what's the thing that wasn't addressed? What's the possibility that wasn't addressed here? So AI can't read between the lines, but experience does. And so like that's where in product launching and product management, there will always be a need for the experienced people to say, well, wait a second, that looks good on paper, except for this. This thing that isn't on that paper, and but is something that I experienced 20 years ago that or whatever.
Well, that's the beauty of the American legal system too, is that it very much uses it has its own language that protects itself, because of that depth of language required. That's one of the reasons why, American contracts are on average, I don't even know the actual number. Let's put it this way. I remember back in a previous industry when I was doing contract negotiation for technical partnerships, we would we'd always have our American 60-page contract, and we'd bring it over to a partner who's out of London, out of the UK, and they come back and they say, yeah, here's our 2-page one. We're going to go with that one. Completely different, size as far as depth and of course, there's reasons why they've gotten so large, but it also requires somebody who is, a qualified attorney to be able to go in there and actually understand what's actually saying. AI is going to give you things like case law and the massive ability to just, find case law. I don't know what the speed to trial with AI technology should drastically decrease increase the speed, decrease the amount of time. But does that mean that there's going to be any more, any higher percentage of cases that go to trial? No, because it's going to get bottlenecked somewhere else.
Right. Well, that's interesting to geek out about. And I was
it absolutely
analogy to product launching, right? Yep. Like no one wants to.
Well, and the reason I was bringing that up had to do with like
system
IP. And like IP contracts. Patent, trademarking and patents on products on Amazon. That's going to get challenged more over the next few years because it's going to get easier for people to make that challenge. And so that's why you've got to stand apart. That's why you've got to protect what you create.
Right. Yeah. Right. If AI can create an argument, even if it's a BS argument, then it will be easy to mount.
All automated. It'll do it in 15 seconds.
Right. And then ultimately, though, you spend 20 hours picking apart the faulty arguments of the AI. Right. So, yeah, no, that's an excellent point. What role have you seen IP play in product launching and in kind of like the growth of your clients' products over the last few years?
Usually it has to do with whether or not you're going to get other competitors that encroach. You typically, if you've got another seller that comes in with a similar or same product, you're really only going to protect them out of the market that you defended. If you've got a trademark or you've got a patent within the U.S. market, you're protecting, you have the ability to actually fight back and to protect against somebody else just coming in and saying, I'm just going to copy exactly what you did. We've got at Canopy, we've got a few like top 10 brands on Amazon, huge. And their success is part Amazon and of course part everywhere else. They're omni-channel, they're everywhere. But they have to, I'm sure they've got a pretty large retainer, legal retainer, just to make sure that they can protect that, especially when they branch out into Europe, for instance, or into Asia or something like that. They've got to start the process all over again, supposedly, in order to protect it in each location. So proof of concept would be like the US marketplace, just because of the sales volume on Amazon. And then when you branch out into other countries, that's when obviously you can determine if the legal cost is going to, is merited compared to the additional sales.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's all very feasible for I don't want to discourage sellers from, creating new products. That's, in fact, we've, because I know like at Canopy, we've helped, I think we're up to like 27 brands that we've helped get, grow to a point where they've exited and had a successful exit. One where they actually still enjoy the benefits of that exit. But in each case, it was always a brand that continued to add on new products to their catalog. It was never, if you got a brand that was just sitting there with one product, they're not exiting, because they can exit, but they're not going to have near the valuation as if they were more distributed, because those who are in the business of acquiring, they may acquire a product within a niche that fits in with the rest of their catalog that also covers that same audience in that same niche. But they prefer
acquiring upside. They're acquiring the upside. And so they want to see, like, if you've got a track record of upside, of like taking something and expanding it, that tends to show that there's more upside, that there's an ability
Correct.
to
Yeah. Are they buying the product or are they buying you?
Right.
Theoretically, you're going to need more valuation if it's both.
Right.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, this is all like really fascinating and deep. I mean, I think we can geek out on this stuff for hours. And we'll have to do that. I'll have to have you come back and we can geek out more on this. If people want to learn more about you or get in touch with you, how they go about doing so?
Well, so I mean, still very much in the advertising and marketing side of Amazon House. Canopy Management, or canopymanagement.com, of course, is the site for my agency. We have a phenomenal track record and a fantastic international team. And so, love to have that conversation. We certainly have proven ourselves. And so we'd like to see what we can do together.
Okay, cool. And what's the best route for them to set that up?
Just going out to canopymanagement.com, canopymanagement.com to enunciate that. And then there's right on the front page, there's a, book a call, just to get that an evaluation done. Because the way our process is set up is we go through and we have an initial discussion just to say like, hey, you know what? Do we even fit together initially? And then from there, we take it to the standpoint of like, okay, we're going to dig deep and see exactly what is working, what's not working, the good, bad, ugly about how you're running your business on Amazon. And we're going to come back to you and make a number of recommendations and tell you where you potentially can go. If that then becomes a mutual agreement that, hey, you know what, we should work together to make this, to implement all this and to make it work well, cool. If not, no hard feelings.
Awesome. Well, again, Brian, thanks so much for being here on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I was glad to be here and look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.